r/AskReddit created by routinereddit. What is 100% worse wet? How has no one said a blanket? That's literally a term for describing a person who consistently makes everything worse. The most accurate. I actually daydreamed how it would feel, and it was uncomfortable. Yeah, even I hate this. Yeah, but for putting out a fire, it's perfect. There is nothing worse than a wet blanket if you are made of fire. Literally everything hates a wet blanket. Even people on fire reluctantly accept them. I see your answer is inspired by a previous mayor of my city as well as some churches. My city has a problem with homeless people. So one December, the mayor decided to have city water tanker trucks drive around and wet down people sleeping on the streets in the middle of the night. Some churches here had a similar issue with homeless people sleeping around their building, in alcoves and doorways. So the church installed sprinklers in these areas that turned on in the middle of the night. That's just evil. Aren't churches supposed to help the poor? Such hypocrisy. They also literally have a very popular love thy neighbor in one of them. Toilet seat. Warm toilet seat at home. Nice. Warm toilet seat in public. EWW. Warm toilet seat at home alone. I'm gonna die today. I preheat my seats. More efficient poops. No, I preheat your seats. In Soviet Russia, seats preheat you. At home, give me those fancy heated high-tech toilet seats all day any day. But in public restrooms, I want a Japanese-style squatting toilet I don't even have to sit on. In India they call those Eastern toilets, and man are those interesting. It's like pooping/peeing into a drain on the floor. Actually we just call them toilets. It's the other ones we call Western toilets. Toilet paper. Toilet paper is worse than useless when wet, because not only is it completely ineffective, but now you've probably got chunks of wet toilet paper everywhere. You're mistaken, my friend. Instead of wiping, I like to shove a wad of soggy toilet paper into my crack and leave it while I go about my day. Friction does its thing, and bits of poopy paper fall out my pant legs as I walk, efficiently removing the waste. Trouble on to Key Island. An electrical socket. Now that is the best thing ever. I once made it a free to go on ride, and they always came off with a smile on their face. What? FDFY. Leave a like, comment, and subscribe for daily Reddit videos. Handshakes. I just washed my hands. That's why they're wet. I just pee on my hands. Somehow that's less suspicious. Because if someone were to say that, you'd assume they were just joking, since no one would actually dare say that. But if they say they just washed their hands, it makes it seem like an excuse. Lick your hand to be sure. I've made this a habit and always make sure to lick my hands before and after a shake. I lick before, so I know the current taste, before adding a new one. Okay, now let me lick it. Washed with what? Washed with what? UHH. With 2 hydrogen atoms and an oxygen atom. Dihydrogen monoxide. You filthy deadly monster. Get those hands away from me. Don't you know dihydrogen monoxide is the leading cause of drowning and is a main ingredient in sodas? And once you have had your first experience with it, you're hooked. You won't be able to live more than 3 days without it. The addictive substance. Socks. Edit. Thanks for my first silver mystery Redditor. The collective disdain for dampened cat hats rages on. Edit V2. Gold 2. I'm humbled. May your stocking feet stay dry in the darkest hours. Shoes with a spongy/foamy sole that retains water well. Like wearing Skechers on the beach. Walks. Splash. Dang it. Especially after you've stepped in some mystery wetness in your house. Is it pee? Is it snow? Is it vomit? Is it ice that my dog ran around the house with until they decided to let it melt in some random location? Wet sock roulette. I once stepped on a mystery wet spot in the house, and it was a slug. I once put my hand in a pile of goo that used to be my best friend's face. That escalated quickly. Any surface in a hospital. I always just assume it's water and refrain from touching anything or smelling the mystery fluid till I wash whatever made contact. We learned in nursing school to wear gloves if it's wet and it ain't yours. If it's wet and yours. Pants. Even if you didn't piss yourself, everyone will think you did. Plus it just feels like a very unpleasant coldish warm moist wetgy. Can confirm. I got completely soaked from a hard rain, so hard my unders and bra were wet. It was absolutely miserable. I spent an hour at work in wet pants and underwear. Thankfully I was able to change my shirt and shoes out and just stripped off my bra. But not my pants and undies, it sucked so bad. My coworker, who is also a really good friend of mine, went to my house on her lunch break to get me dry clothes. Since she had an hour and I only had 30 minutes. Ah man, I know that feel, especially when it's warm. Wet underwear feels like wet mucus sticking on your skin. It's pretty gross. Unless you actually did pee your pants, so you pour more water on yourself to cover up and act like you spilled something. Wetting yourself is like happiness. Everyone can see it, but only you can feel its warmth. Was at a Greyhound bus stop. Had a big gallon jug of water. Took a sip. Spilled a crap load right in my lap and had to wait around for hours for it to dry. Pretty sure everyone thought I pissed myself. It really looked it. So, that was cool. Piss-soaked pants outside on 8 grams of mushrooms ain't fun. Gym equipment. To begin with, most people aren't in the gym because they enjoy it, and no one, not even the fitness enthusiasts, wants to sit in some random person's pool of sweat. So if you sweat even a moderate amount, please develop the common courtesy to wipe down the equipment after using it. Even if you don't sweat, wipe it down. I'd rather not get your ringworm or fungus. Ugh, nothing worse than those little towels that are already wet. Wet wipes don't compare. I wait around the bench for Muscle Mike to come around and do his set. After he leaves, I lick the sweat off of it. The money I save from buying testosterone pays for my membership to the gym. Cursed. Shut up, I don't have time to wipe down the equipment, you beater. I'm losing gains as we speak. How can I possibly do my superset and make maximum gains if I have to wipe down the equipment? Fool. TSK. Time spent commenting on Reddit is time not spent downing creatine shakes. Old food in the sink. I don't have a garbage disposal and it's quite loathsome. Most countries don't. You just throw scraps in the bin. I'm Canadian. Wife is American. The lack of garbage disposals in most houses here is a sore point to her. You can order them online, and a sink/piping with a drain size that can accommodate them if there's different kitchen sink dimensions up there. Man, we get by without it. I've never lived in a place that had them. I used to be a plumber. Trust me, you don't want one. Life pro tip. Worm composter. It's weird enough to be funny. Once you set it up, you're basically golden. People look at you funny at first, which in my book is a plus, then are actually amazed. It's so small you can compost in your flat. It's also cool to tell your owner you just set up a compost in your flat. You can throw most of your organic waste in. You get premium fertilizer for your houseplants or balcony herb garden/strawberries. It's hip. You can find fashionable and ridiculously expensive models in stores, or make your own for a few bucks. Had one but graduated to a full-sized outdoor compost when I bought a house. Bread. And weed, now that I think of it. And cannabis, now that I look upon it. And sticky Ike, now that I'm peeping it. And mango madness, now that I'm feeling some kinda way. Sometimes, when I'm chewing bread too slowly, I take a sip of water to make it easier to chew. Good morning to everybody except you. I don't know why, but I literally burst out laughing at this comment. Inside of your tent. My first camp out in Boy Scouts, everything I brought got soaked except the washcloth that my mom packed. That stayed dry because it was in a Ziploc bag and I didn't use it. What really sucks is when you're camp staff and it rains for 2 weeks straight and you are stuck at the camp the whole time. Dear Lord, I hated when it rained at camp. Oh god, yes. Wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning, accidentally touch the inside of the tent wall and hours of condensation rain down on you. Will all the cruelty of an uncaring universe. I'm very thankful to be able to live in a building. For a second I read that as taint. Even worse. Books. Just paper in general. Especially paper straws. Ike. My city is likely going to implement a plastic straw ban soon, and in anticipation of this all of the local restaurants have switched to paper straws. It is the most disgusting thing. Like, single-use plastic is bad, and I'm on board with using less plastic in theory, but in practice, ugh. Underwear. I had a bad experience with that yesterday. I was rushing to work, and my clothes never got dry. Formed the dire. Decide to wear it anyway. Within about a minute I felt very uncomfortable and had to go commando for that shift. That feeling when some pocket of mystery wetness runs out of your vag and you have to check your pants. When you are a vag owner and you wake up and wonder why you are feeling wet and oh hey, your period has decided to show up a week early. Wet underwear, wet nightgown, and wet sheets. And this is why premenopausal me is on continuous birth control, so I don't have to have a period anymore. I'm very much over this bullcrap. And it was getting worse. Takes me back to when I was with an ex and started living/sleeping together each night. Wake up in the night, shuffle up to her to cuddle, feel something cold on my thigh. Know she has a bit of a weak bladder, so do my best to gently wake her up and kindly say, baby, I think you've had an accident, stay here and I'll get wet wipes and fresh sheets. Get up and put the light on, look down and see that I look like I've had an artery burst. AHH, I see. I'll get you your Tampax as well then. You are the definition of a good person.